It's good to be back. I hope you're back with me. I hope so. You know, I called my program tonight Evidence of Happiness, and that little intro might have sounded a little contemplative and maybe even ponderous, but you know, that's me. I like to ponder ponderosities. It's just part of who I am. And the idea of happiness to me isn't just a constant state of bliss. It's an episodic experience. It's something that you pass in and out of, so that you know when you're in it, and you damn well know when you're not in it, too. You know, in our very fundamental rights, it talks about the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say anything about a guarantee or a right of happiness. So it's something we seek and pass through. So I had a little episode of happiness this past week because I got to go to Cape Cod. Mark and I got to spend 3 days down on Cape Cod, right by the ocean, by the Atlantic Ocean. We get to see whales reaching and spouting, and we got to get eyeballed by seals very close to shore, and we got to smell the salt air and hear the surf. And I live in a beautiful place, as you can see in the background, but it was nice to be in another beautiful place that has something very different to say. And for me, as a Midwesterner who grew up in the middle, there's something about getting to the edge of the country, the end of the country, if you will, that still just blows me away when I'm there. When I just look out there and that's it, till you get to the next continent. I mean, it makes me very happy to know exactly where I am. So I'm going to play a song that was inspired at a different point in time, but also an invocation of that place. And it's got a part for you in it, too.
Salt spray at high tide, I felt it there some lifetime before. Ah, the sea is always calling us home. That's your part. Ah, the sea is always calling us home. I drove the whole night to get there by daybreak. All through the darkness, creatures held their space. Unseen companions and all around me, keeping me steady toward the morning space. Here we go. Ah, the sea is always calling us home. It doesn't matter which songs take me there. I cross the bridge and feel the water rising, joy in my heart and salt wind in my hair. Ah, the sea is always calling us home. Yeah. Ah, the sea is always calling us home. Ah, the sea calling us home.
Eastern Shore. Well, now I'm back up in northeastern Connecticut, a little far from the salt water, but still in a beautiful place and feeling a little, as usual, like, help, help. Please let me out of this box, please. But here I am. It's what we've got right now. But those of you who know me over time know how much I love being in a room with people, singing together and laughing together and crying together and just experiencing the moment in time together. And that's what I'm holding space for with these concerts. It's something about the ephemeral nature of it, too. It just happens and it's gone. And the thing about these videos is that they're here now. They're captured. They're archived. And so I feel a little bit the same way about recording. You know, I always have. It's not like my natural habitat. It's always felt like the suspension of an otherwise dynamic process. It's like evidence of something, and I'm sort of an anti-archivist, so that explains it. So I want to play a song that was inspired by a conversation I had years ago with a friend. We were having lunch and talking about revisionist history of relationships. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I heard myself saying, well, but you know, if you've got photos and letters and stuff, you've got evidence of happiness. And there was something very snarky about it at the time, though accurate. And I just like the sound of the phrase later, being a lover of words and all. So I thought, I need to dwell with that for a while. Just let it go deeper and deeper. And so I did. And the song I'm going to play from you came out of that. It's called Evidence of Happiness. And it became the title song for the first recording that my friend Sally Rogers and I had made in 22 years. This was back in 2012. And I just wanted to read you a little poem that I put on the inside of the CD because it sort of sums up a little bit what I was just talking about. Joyful and profound moments captured by the camera's cool eye. Living music suspended in a solution of digital precision. How then do we weave together these shimmering strands of then and now and beyond into a pulsing, dancing, breathing whole? How? But by the all-encompassing magic of love.
These tears fall more easily than they ever did before. At often unexpected things I don't question anymore. Babies laughing, sweethearts kissing, a drifter's lonely face. Countless moments that sow the seeds of gratitude and grace. These tears are the evidence of happiness. These tears are the evidence of happiness. Happiness. These lines seem to be fighting for a spot upon my face. Each year before the mirror, more and more a map of place. You look just like the trip itself, twists and turns and straightaways. They show up mostly when I smile, and I smile a lot these days. These lines are the evidence of happiness. These lines are the evidence of happiness. Happiness. In the court of love, there's no judge, no jury. The lifetime of losses can't be counted in a hurry. In the court of love, there's only me, you see, and the evidence, so much evidence. This heart has been broken like the moon upon the sea, by lover and by culture, by my own inconstancy. But this heart has sung its way to joy and healed 1,000 times. So scarred and ever tender, full of melody and rhymes. This heart is the evidence of happiness. heart is the evidence of happiness. Happiness. This life has not found its worth on the stairway to success, reveling more in alleyways and scenic routes, I guess. The journey is spectacular and the company's the best, and I will travel fearlessly till I'm happily at rest. This life is the evidence of happiness. Oh, this life is the evidence of happiness. These lines are the evidence of happiness. This heart is the evidence of happiness. These tears are the evidence of happiness. The evidence of happiness.
There you go. Evidence of happiness. Well, my father, who's a pretty steady, happy guy, has this quote that he loves that my mother had found at an antique store, like a cross-stitch Pennsylvania Dutch saying that that goes, "Too soon old, too late smart." And which brings me to the idea of earning happiness, I guess, in life. You are young and dumb, of course, but here's the thing. If you're smart enough, you find people who are older than you. You find your elders, which is something I was very lucky with early on. And you can learn from them. You can learn a lot from them. You can't go through the experience, but you can kind of get prepared. And so now I find myself here in life. Like I wrote that last song on the eve of my 60th birthday, and several years later now, and like a friend of mine said a while back, "Hey, I've been looking for my elders and they're getting harder to find." But I'm thinking way back to when I was a young thing in Chicago, and I met a musician very early on named Bob Gibson, who I really knew nothing about. He had quite a past. And I learned about that later after we were friends, but he was a mentor to me, not in an official mentor-mentee relationship. We were just friends, and he let me hang out with him. He let me open for him at clubs, and I feel like I learned so much about performing from watching him. And we both happened to play 12-string guitars, and we would just kind of hang out, and it was a huge gift in my life at that point. And one day we were talking about how there were so many more songs about unrequited love than requited love. And Bob very wisely said, "Well, you know, Claudia, when you're having a requited love affair, you don't have time to write songs." And we had a good laugh about that. And several years later, a little more experience under my belt, I remembered that little exchange, and I decided to take up that song challenge and write me a song about requited love when you're in that state of happiness.
I could dance in the rain, sleep in the sun, but I wouldn't want too much of either one. Climb a tree without a care, but I wouldn't want to live there. Sing till I'm sung, swing till I'm swung, maybe that will keep me young. But the thing that I want most of is your love, yeah. Well, I could view the opera in my sequin gown, for feeling somewhat like a clown. Wear my three-piece suit to the business meeting, the effect is fleeting. Ooh, shake my booty in a spandex suit, and that might be construed as cute, but what fits me most like a glove is your love, yes, your love. Well, I kept my wits and was seldom blind. When she snuck up on from behind, I got my moves and I'm good to go. When I'm threatened from below, I thought I had it right. Then the magic died the moment I glanced off to the side. But the thing that took me from above was your love. Oh, your love is simply a cut above. Your love, I've got a long list of the things I can't forget. I want it all, you bet. Your love, yes, your love. I want a surplus of your love. Don't mean to push and shove. Give me all that stuff. It's almost just enough. Your love, yes, your love. Got to have all of your love. Please give me all of your love. Yeah.
Well, when I think about my childhood, I think I was a pretty happy child. I don't carry trauma with me. And so I was just kind of busy living my life, which is probably a good sign. But the one thing I do remember that was difficult was as a young child, I was very frightened of the dark, of night. And we moved into this big old house in this small town, and we were just fed rumors about how the house was haunted and all these things that were buried in the house. And so I was about 4, 5 years old, and a child with a very active, overactive, shall we say, imagination, and 2 older brothers who worked very hard to see that it stayed in a constant state of agitation. So I was pretty terrified. Even like going up the stairs to bed at night was like walking through a horror movie, and that quiet fear you carry as a child that you don't really know how to express. But my mother, bless her soul, probably sensed that anxiety, and she didn't make a big deal about it or tell me to get over it or do anything like that. Instead, she would take me out into the darkness, and she would talk about the importance of it and how the trees needed the darkness to do their photosynthesis, and how there were animals who needed the darkness to do their thing. And so she kind of helped take the edge off that. But then I would go to Sunday school where Mrs. Helly, believe it or not, that was her name, Mrs. Helly, would say, "Children, the devil works best at night," and then I'd be like, ah. So it took me a long time to figure it out, to come to a place of happiness with the transition of day into night. And finally, as a grown-up young woman, I got to that point. So I'm going to play my song, my kind of homage to my eventual love of that transition. But I want to precede it with a wonderful Mary Oliver poem. My mother had never read Mary Oliver, and yet you'll hear this poem kind of echoes what my mother told me when I was just a little girl. And we all need to be reminded about this, I think, sometimes. This is called Sleeping in the Forest. I thought the earth remembered me. She took me back so tenderly, arranging her dark skirts, her pockets full of lichens and seeds. I slept as never before, a stone on a riverbed. Nothing between me and the white fire of the stars but my thoughts. And they floated, light as moths among the branches of the perfect trees. All night, I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me, the insects, the birds who do their work in the darkness. All night I rose and fell as if on water, grappling with a luminous doom. By morning, I had vanished at least a dozen times into something better.
Day winding down, weariness wailing in your bones. what a sound, so far down deep, and how alone you feel. Night enters now, speaking in a voice soft as scars, soft as scars. I will gather you in. I will gather you in. I will gather you in once more. Oh, dare you to dream, eyes wide open in the light. Sleep like a scream, pouring all through you as the brightness reads. Laughs does the night, wraps you in a womb made of sighs, made of sighs. I will gather you in. I will gather you in. I will gather you
gather you in. Well, you can't talk about the transition from light into darkness without talking about this very time of year, which is very difficult for some people. And there are so many things I love about this season. I'm not going to take lots of time about that now, but it's the smells and the light, and there's a softness about it, and the yielding, and even the gardens, the gleamed gardens, what's left of them. I always love that they're just kind of standing there, these like stalks that are left, kind of going, hell with it. I kind of look to them as a model for how I go into the next phase of my life. Just go into it. So I'm going to wind up with a song that when I heard it, it's first like sort of triumphant song about autumn that I've ever heard. Usually they're kind of sad and desolate, but this one's a beauty. But before I do the song, I just want to mention that I'm happy to be back in whatever format works right now. And I hope that you're visiting me. I'm going to continue visiting you with my Wednesday evening musicales, and also a week from this coming Saturday, October 24th, I'm doing an hour-long concert for the Open Range Concert Series in Paola, Kansas. So if you go to openrangeconcerts.org, you can find out more information about that. And I also have information on my Facebook page about that. So it'll be a concert via YouTube. You don't have to be on Facebook to see it, though there will be a YouTube link. And I'm very much looking forward to that. A great bunch of people out in Kansas, and I've been very sad not to get back there in person to see them. So you can visit for that concert, visit for the musicales. You can visit my website, claudiaschmidt.com, and as I am bringing energy to you in these times of COVID, if you feel so inclined, you can bring a little green energy to me at my virtual tip vessel at my website, and check out the merchandise and the old videos, and just enjoy yourselves. Be happy. So there's a great refrain in this song at the end of every verse. I want you to sing it with me. That just says, La-di-da-di-da-di-dum, 'tis autumn. Oh, there's a quote I wanted to share with you, actually, from John Donne, who said, "No spring nor summer beauty hath such grace as that which I have seen in one autumnal face."
Oh, Father Time checked, so there'd be no doubt. Called on the north wind to come on out, then cupped his hands so proudly to shout, la-di-da-di-da-di-dum, 'tis autumn. Oh, the trees say they're tired, they've borne too much fruit. Charmed all the wayside, there's no dispute. Now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. La-di-da-di-da-di-dum, 'tis autumn. Then the birdies got together to chirp about the weather. After making their decision with birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline to the south. My holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-di-da-di-da-di-dum, 'tis autumn. Then the birdies got together to chirp about the weather. After making their decision with birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline to the south. My holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-di-da-di-da-di-dum, la-di-da-di-da-di-dum, la-di-da-di-da-di-dum. 'Tis autumn.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Be well. Good night.